Right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first meeting of the South Kildare District Council Cabinet for 2022. Of course, I know it's probably getting a bit late to keep saying this now, but Happy New Year to everybody here in the chamber and to those of you tuning in from home. We've got a reasonably packed agenda today with one of the most important decisions that we take as a council every year, which is obviously the draft budget proposals. So we won't keep us waiting, and we'll move on to the register of attendance, please. I'll hand over to you, Graham.
Thank you, Leader. We've received apologies for absence today from councillors Nick Robbins and Rosemary Charlotte Bellew. All of the members of Cabinet are present as expected.
And of course, we welcome the Chairman of the Council, Councillor Breda Ray Griffin, and Councillor Jackie Smith with us as well. So moving on to agenda item number 2, which are the minutes from the meeting on the 7th of December. As you'll see, they are slightly longer in length than normal, as it did have the very important decision that we took on the Deepings Leisure Centre. So do we have any comments or alterations that anybody would like to make on these minutes at all? Councillor Reid.
Not on the accuracy. It's fine by me. I'll propose it.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm happy to second. Therefore, all those in favour, please indicate. And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Therefore, agenda item number 3 is obviously the disclosure of interests. If you do have anything that comes up throughout the meeting, then please don't hesitate to disclose this. Otherwise, the standing declarations that you already have are on the website. It's already declared. So we'll move on to the items for Cabinet decision, which are key. And the first one is the review of the Hackney Carriage and private hire policy. I'll hand over to Councillor Mrs. Wotton, please.
Thank you, Leader. Before I start, one of my eagle-eyed colleagues has pointed out to me that on the front page it's reviewed by Anne-Marie Coulter, and we put her down as assistants instead of assistant director. So just correct that before we go on, and then I will make a start. The existing policy was adopted on the 12th of January 2021, being effective from the 1st of April 2021, and provides a framework upon which the licensing authority delivers its functions in relation to Hackney Carriage and private hire licensing. The policy introduced a more robust and transparent English language test for drivers who were unable to demonstrate a qualification taught and examined in English. The policy set a pass mark of 58 out of 80, which is the entry level for a B2 independent user of the language under the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, explained in Appendix 1 for definitions. The test is purchased from an external provider, which is used by a number of local authorities, as shown at paragraph 1.8 of this report. This supports consistency and objectivity and removes any concerns of unconscious bias for those applicants taking the test. The government statutory taxi and private hire vehicle standards, July 2020, advised that all licensed taxi and private hire drivers are expected to possess proficient English language skill. English language skills are essential to avoid job-related misunderstandings such as wrong directions and fair disputes. However, they must also be able to recognise safeguarding concerns, understand a customer's assistance needs, and be able to communicate with emergency services following an accident or medical emergency. The licensing committee considered the pass mark of the English language skills test at their meeting of the 12th of November 2021. Following discussion, the committee recommended to the Environment Overview and Scrutiny Committee that the score required to be reduced to 54 out of the 80, equivalent to the upper scoring band of B1 independent user of the language. The Environment Overview and Scrutiny Committee considered the pass mark at their meeting of the 30th of November 2021. Following much discussion and debate and consideration of the comments of the Licensing Committee, the Environment Overview and Scrutiny Committee have recommended to Cabinet that the score required to be reduced to 47 out of 80. This is equivalent to the entry level for a B1 independent user of the language. The committee also recommended that the score be reviewed in 6 months' time to consider the impact of the score change. In respect of the certificate of the good conduct, a minor amendment to the wording of the policy at paragraph 3, 10.1 and 3, 10.4, brackets, extract of policy appendix 2 is also proposed. This amendment clarifies that once a driver is licensed at renewal, they will only need to produce a new certificate if they have left the UK for more than 6 months during the currency of their license. Thank you. Cabinet's just asked to consider whether the current English language test mark should be reduced from 58 to 47. The amendment to the wording of the certificate of good conduct requirement to make it clear that at renewal, only those who have been abroad for 6 months within that period of their current licence are required to obtain a new certificate. Thank you, Leader.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that introduction. Do you have a proposal that you wish to reduce it down to?
Just a use my mic. That was the recommendation from the Environment Committee, and they did discuss it a lot. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. And I think we can all understand the need for this English language test, and particularly about ensuring that the drivers understand the safety requirements between what's expected of them, and also to ensure clarity between the driver and the customer or passenger as such. And I know the possibility is that the current pass mark is probably a little unnecessarily strict. Obviously, it's been discussed by licensing and the Environment Overview and Scrutiny. And I think that the recommendation you come up with today is very sensible in terms of let's reduce it and then we can review it in 6 months' time to see how it's working. Do we have any other comments on this report? Councillor Mason, please.
Thank you, Leader. No, I just want to register my support for this. I'm really pleased that the Environment Overview Scrutiny has brought the pass mark down to 47, and I really welcome a review in 6 months' time to see whether it's reworking. So I'm happy to second this proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Reid.
Thank you very much. As we all know, there's been quite a lot of dialogue, particularly with one particular member or representative of the public, which we have listened to with concern as well. And so I think that sort of gives me better comfort that it's for 6 months, to be fair, and a review done then. So yeah, very happy to support it on that basis.
Okay, Councillor Dobson.
Microphone, sir. Yes, thank you. I would just hope that in the 47% then, that what they're learning or what they're being tested on is going to be useful for their actual job. Not that they can speak English and understand English, but they can also understand, as you're saying, Councillor Orton in the beginning and your address there, that they understand how to take directions and to take people to the right place. That they are focusing on that sort of range of phrases and languages and understanding of those. And I think that's the most important part of it, whether it's 47 or 58, but 58, sorry, that they actually know what they're doing for their job.
Yes, thank you for that, Councillor Dobson. I mean, our licensing personnel are very good and they do get help and assistance with the course with the tests that they do. Thank you.
Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Leader. On page 21, Councillor Dobson, it does indicate what the definition of the scoring. So that gives you clarity that actually all those issues that you brought up would actually be covered by the test.
Okay.
Super. Well, it has been proposed and seconded. So we'll take all those in favour of the recommendations as laid out. Brilliant. And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Therefore, moving on to items for Cabinet decision, which are non-key, and we have the draft budget proposals for 2022-23. I'll hand over to the Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Leader. So the report in front of you sets out the draft proposals for both the General Fund and the Housing Revenue Account for the forthcoming financial year, 22-23. The report covers both the revenue, capital, reserves and fees and charges proposals. This report was presented yesterday at the Budget Joint OSC Committee with no changes or new recommendations. On Friday, a 2-week consultation will be undertaken with our businesses and residents in respect to the council tax setting proposals to receive their views and feedback on council tax levels for 22-23. We as a Cabinet have been working with the senior management team since September to formulate these financial proposals, and this has been challenging in the context of a 1-year only settlement from government, the figures for which were only announced on the 15th of December 2021. However, we are pleased to see that the funding announcements were in line with our expectations, and so the announcements did not change our proposals. However, as it is only a 1-year deal, then the future financial uncertainty remains beyond the 12-month period. Table 3 in the report shows an unbalanced position beyond the new next year, which is down to 2 key factors: the expected changes to the government funding formula, and from 24-25, the borrowing impact following the decision to invest in the Deepins Leisure Centre. Tables 4 and 5 show the proposed changes to the budget proposals that are necessary to continue to deliver quality services and the ambitions of the corporate plan, and the savings that are proposed to ensure that a balanced position can be achieved. Table 6 presents a summary of the fees and charges proposals for next year, and Appendix B provides the details at service level. The proposals for the funding levels for each of the council-owned companies is presented in the report, and details of the objectives of each of the companies for the next year. Companies Committee will be receiving further information with respect to the business plans at their meeting on the 25th of January. Given the tight budgetary outlook, it is also proposed that the food waste collections are suspended until the National Food Waste Collection Service requirements are rolled out nationally. With this in mind, there is no provision made within the 22-23 budget. Although the council is and has been supportive of the service and is taking steps to maintain the current food waste collections to aid the future transition to a full statutory service, significant further investment is needed for it to continue into 22-23, which would mean 50,000 annual costs plus the additional vehicle maintenance on the 2 ageing vehicles. We are still awaiting DEFRA's response to their consultation conducted in summer 2021, and there is still no clarity on the future requirements or timescales, which may be later than previously anticipated. We will, as a council, keep this under review and bring forward proposals as appropriate when DEFRA confirms the requirements. So, Leader, I'd like to propose the recommendations on page 35 and 36, 1 to 5. Thank you.
Super, thank you very much. And of course, I'm very happy to second the proposals as put. And I think most of us were at the joint budget scrutiny meeting yesterday, and actually it was a really positive meeting and actually really well run by the chairman, Councillor Gill. And to even receive praise from leading opposition members was, I think, one of the first times I've ever sat in a meeting and felt that in the room. And I think, we need to be honest with ourselves, and there are continued challenges for local authorities. And that is not just us here, that is nationwide. Some councils are in the position of having to issue Section 114 notices and getting very close to financial insecurity. We are not at that position because we are being fiscally responsible with our budgets and our ambitions in terms of what it is we can deliver. So there are many positive signs in this report, and we should feel optimistic about the financial year ahead, and especially as we continue to move forwards from the last 20 months. And I think, as leader and with you as cabinet, we remain extremely ambitious and progressive about what we want to achieve as a council. And this report does emphasise that. We've got commitments to improving our own council homes, which obviously I know Councillor Reid's very passionate about, but also taking further action against climate change, which is going to affect us all, supporting the mental health of our residents, along with supporting our own local economy to drive that growth and jobs to make this one of the best places to live, work and visit. And our priority, of course, is to continue and enhance our quality services whilst ensuring that we're running a budget that is sustainable, fiscally responsible, but also adding value for money. And I think, especially over the last 20 months, residents and businesses have struggled with the uncertainty and the financial impact of the pandemic. So we must continue to do whatever we can to support those most in need in our society. and particularly those that need that additional support for us. And I think the budget plan for this year as laid out is fair and responsible. And I think it shows the work that you've put in as the deputy leader and the cabinet member, but also the finance team. And obviously, I think it gets better every year, as we all always like to say. So thank you for exploring the opportunities that we've got ahead of us. And obviously, we'll look forward to the consultation and then ultimately get to the final cabinet meeting, where I'm sure we'll have quite a healthy and robust debate. So I'm very happy to second this report, and thank you for all the work that you've put into this. Do you have any further comments on this? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. At the risk of repeating myself, I'm sorry to have two provisions that are still likely to be worked through. One is the electric charging points for cars, and a request to actually double the facility, which would be commensurate to the carbon footprint initiatives that we're moving forward. And we are currently still clarifying what grant assistance would be. So it will be downwards of 40,000 if we can manage to include that. I know there is a provision budget that it could be included in it. I've spoken to the Director of Finance or Assistant Director of Finance. However, I feel it dutiful to mention it. The other thing I do have an anxiety about is the uplift in the budget with the grounds maintenance contract to do with commercial pressures for personnel, fuel costs, and I can't sit here with that hat and say that I'm exactly comfortable with where we are with the uplift in the budget. However, it is, but I couldn't not be honest in making some reference to it. Thank you.
I mean, it's an interesting point you raise about the car charging points, because obviously, as you know, we did do a period of installations across the district, and actually the thing that's actually prohibiting us from doing more, because I would certainly like to see more car charging points across the district, but also faster charging points, is actually it's the grid capacity issues that we've got across all of our area. And I think we all acknowledge that, you know, investment into core infrastructure as a country has not been where it needs to be probably for the last 20 years. So particularly in some of our market towns, there simply isn't the power to install further car parking charging stations at the present time until the national grid effectively upgrade the power cables into the towns to allow that capacity for future development. So I know it's something we continue to monitor, because I'm certainly passionate about I'd like to see car charging points in all of our car parks, but unfortunately at the present time, it's not us that's stopping that, it's the national grid. Councillor Mason, please.
Thank you, Leader. I'm fully supportive of the proposals. Councillor Stokes and Richard Wells and his team have done an amazing job, continue to do so. I just want to say that we cannot underestimate how increased rent and council tax will affect our residents who are currently struggling to make ends meet with rising food and utility costs, which are crippling most families. So can you give me peace of mind that we're going to be assisting vulnerable, genuine people who are in financial hardship, and that we have robust procedures in place? And also, do we have a section on our website to provide signposting to our residents?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Mason, for that question. Yes, I mean, through the council tax support scheme, we're able to help a lot of these residents, and also there is signposting through the website as well to that.
Thank you.
I invite the Chief Executive.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Chairman. Just to support that, when any of our teams in our revenues and benefits section are on the phone with anybody that is identified that they could access some hardship funding or some of the council tax support funding, they are signposted straight away, and so it's a joined up service. So we do everything that we possibly can.
Excellent, thank you.
Brilliant. Well, if there are no further comments, it has been proposed and seconded. Therefore, we'll move to a vote then, please. So all those in favour? And that is unanimous. So we'll look forward to that going through to the next stage. Therefore, moving on to, the next agenda item would be matters referred to Cabinet by the Council or Overview and Scrutiny Committees. We don't have anything for this meeting. Therefore, moving on to agenda item number 6, which is the Housing Voids Policy. And we'll go on to Councillor Reid, please.
Thank you very much, Leader. It's with privilege to be able to present this today, because we are at long last at a good news story. Cabinet will know the importance for us as the landlord in quickly and safely reletting properties when tenancies end. The benefits that we receive is in that we clearly reduce rent loss, eases pressures on our waiting lists of times people are waiting for homes, and allows us to undertake surveys of our properties. I'm pleased to present for Cabinet's consideration a new void policy and relet standard. This is intended to give a clear framework to members, officers and new tenants about what our offer for a new home is and what the council intends to achieve. Namely, to reduce turnaround times to a minimum so that the potential tenants can access properties quickly. Maximise rental by reducing rental loss by minimising void periods through good management, and ensure voids work. I'll get it right a minute. To ensure that voids works are of a high quality whilst driving down the cost wherever possible. Cabinet will recall that our voids performance has quite rightly been under scrutiny due to the slow turnaround of properties through the process. Under the interim management team, changes were made to process the procedure to attempt to find some quick wins, and we welcomed a report this time last year providing an update on some of the key issues and recommendations. The new management team has continued this momentum, and I can assure you all with the new working practices, particularly since the arrival of our Assistant Director of Housing, who has really put a focus on this to uplift the performance rate. The draft policy and the relet standards were welcomed by the Rural and Communities Overview and Scrutiny Committee in December, and I'm pleased to be able to confirm some of the up-to-date performance information to Cabinet colleagues today. As indeed, Leader, we did speak yesterday in the Joint Budget Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Currently, 65 properties undergoing voids works, which is a big reduction from the 113 that we had in progress this time last year. That is a significant improvement, albeit I'm saying it. Void turnarounds this year are running at 45 days for standard voids compared with 64, and 140 days for the major voids compared with 162. Leader, my promise on improving this situation, and in turn the reletting of our homes, and indeed maximising, or on the journey to maximising our rental income, is showing good results. And I'd like to take this opportunity in personally thanking both the Director, but in particular the Assistant Director, for the good work in this achievement. I look forward to hearing of Cabinet debate and indeed wish to propose the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Reid. And I think, as you say, the council's corporate plan, confirms our priority of ensuring that, housing that meets the needs of all residents. And I think we all fully appreciate the challenges that we've uncovered in particularly the last 12 months, that the team, including the Director and now Assistant Director, have been working on with the Chief Executive and yourself. And it's a massive undertaking in addressing some of the longer standing issues that we've had as a council. And we are the largest social landlord in the district, and we have a very direct and hands-on role in terms of the delivery of the priority of creating those homes for everyone. So by making sure properties are relet quickly and effectively, but also to that appropriate standard, makes sense from both a financial and also a social point of view, because none of us like to see empty homes when we're walking around our wards, particularly when we're out and about campaigning and everything else. And and I know from visits I've made to properties going through that voids process, it's important we work to that consistent standard, and that's where we need to be as an authority. And on that basis, I'm very pleased that obviously we've got the voids policy and the relet standard that is presented to Cabinet today. And I hope it confirms to new tenants that we are keen to provide services that address and meet their needs as our residents. So I'm very pleased with it where it is, and I appreciate all the efforts made by the Housing and the Repairs Department to address the issues we face and to speed up the turnaround of vacant properties going forwards. Do you have any further comments from Cabinet members on this? No? Councillor Reid?
Yes, just one further one. It's a reflection to last year that there was a comparison made to what our performance was with the national average, and we were absolutely steeps apart. We have really bridged the gaps by some measure, but I'd like to also endorse my assurance with the team's effort that we are working to the goal of being below the national average, and I have a good premonition that this time next year I will be reporting just that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to second this report. So therefore we'll move to the vote. So all those in favour, please indicate. And that is unanimous. Therefore, moving on to the key and non-key decisions taken under the delegated powers. Obviously, I believe there was just one, which is on page 143, which is to do with the Investor Save Reserve. That is just for noting. Therefore, we'll move on to the Cabinet Forward Plan. And obviously, you'll see ahead of us the plans that we have for this year, and hopefully 2022 will bring a bit of normality, but regardless, it will be as business as usual in taking the opportunity to improve and enhance our services for the council and for our residents. So do we have any comments on the forward plan? Let's say councillor then. Mrs. McCoy-Brown.
Thank you, Colin. Leader. Yeah, we do need to include on the 8th of February, Cabinet, I would suggest the update from the 25th of January Companies Committee, where we're taking a paper on a review of the Invest SK company.
Yeah, we can ensure that's in as well. And obviously in March, we'll be revising our corporate plan as well. That'll be interesting. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Leader. On page 149, we do have future ways of working and making the best use of our corporate assets. Key decision for the 8th of February. I do need to report that that won't be presented on the 8th of February. It will be at a later date, so it will probably be to the meeting on the 29th of March or another meeting of committee. So just making you aware.
Thank you. Any further noting comments? No, then that is just for noting. So therefore at 2:28, that brings us to the end of our agenda today. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending, and obviously I'll see you all soon at our next meeting. So